So I like to start, each interview now. It's something I've started is taking a question from Twitter. I pull Twitter. I say, what questions do you have? This time it was for Mr. Ross Marquand. So this time, Comic Book Rob wants to know, Aaron is still alive in the comics. Uh, would you be willing to stay with the show for 10 or 15 seasons if it were to make it that far?
If we should be so lucky to be on that long, I mean, it's amazing that when we just heard the news, of course, that season 7 got picked up. As I was talking to Ewan, our costume designer, just today, and we were both remarking about how massive and devoted this fan base is. And it started out as this really relatively small zombie show with only 6 episodes that first season, and it was not a guarantee that it was going to go 2 seasons. There was no certainties whatsoever. So the fact that it has become this massive show is not only mind blowing, but it's also very humbling. And I think all of us are very aware that the fans have made the show what it is, and if the producers, if the writers think that the best storyline involves Aaron, I would absolutely stay on for 10 or 15 years. I would love that.
Yeah.
Because it's one of my favorite shows too. I mean, it's still a dream come true to me every time I go to set and I realize I'm working on one of my favorite shows. So absolutely, most definitely.
Awesome. Well, I do hope the show gets that far. I think it's far from done, and it'd be awesome to have you around that long.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, in this episode now, he takes the blame. He goes out in front of everybody. Aaron, you walk out and you're just like, it was my fault. At first, I thought that was covering for Eric, because I thought Eric left the bag somewhere. But then I realized, no, that he really did leave the bag behind. I mean, how much did that take out of Aaron, and why does he blame himself so much? Because these people probably would have found the community eventually.
Yeah, well, myself as an actor, I very much want to give Aaron a hug too, and just say,
Yeah.
listen, it's not your fault. Kind of have like a little Goodwill Hunting moment where Robert Williams kind of comes up to him, but truthfully, I don't think it's his fault. I think there's not Google Maps anymore. It's not like they can extrapolate certain details of geographical topography by pictures alone. You really have to kind of know where that location was. So I think truthfully, it was just enough to pique the Wolves' interest.
Yeah.
And they must have somehow put 2 and 2 together. Maybe because they passed by maybe they passed by the walls of Alexandria and thought, oh, that's who knows what that is. But then when they saw the pictures, maybe they thought there might be people inside, and they might have scoped it out. So I didn't get into too much of the hows and the whys of how the Wolves actually did find the community, but I do know this. One thing I knew for certain with those scripts is that it really was incumbent upon Aaron to feel guilty for that and to take that blame, even though he doesn't want the responsibility and the blame of taking it on. I think it takes a big man to really admit that a good portion of how the Wolves made it back is indirectly / directly related to what he's done, and truthfully, it was like the biggest accident on the planet. I mean, he was almost going to get his neck bit, and Daryl comes and swings that knife down and kills the walker, and so I dropped the backpack just because I'm in the middle of almost being killed.
Yeah.
But truthfully, that was just very much an accidental oversight on his part, and I think he's the type of guy that even from the very beginning, he kind of holds the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he feels like he's responsible for the people in his community. He's responsible for Rick's group, and he wants to prove to them that he is still a good guy and can still make amends for this terrible thing that he put squarely on his shoulders.
Yeah, that couldn't have been. That could have been easy to act. But even for Aaron to say, it must have been tough. But another big moment in the episode was Maggie drops the pregnancy bomb.
Yeah.
Like, what? So, I mean, there's a lot of questions there. Are you guys going to tell anybody? If Glenn is dead, could Aaron try to be a father figure? I mean, that's crazy.
Well, I know, and I think the kind of the backstory that Lauren and I had delved into, which because we really haven't seen much of Maggie and Aaron except for that very first episode that I'm in 510, where he comes out of the woods and puts his hands up. But I think that the backstory that we created was, even though we haven't seen them on screen together all that much, aside from that first meeting, and then also, of course, in the barn, we decided that because Maggie saw a goodness in Aaron from the beginning, the two of them just bonded, and they probably hung out a fair amount within the walls when they got back from when Aaron got back from recruiting, of course. And I think that the two of them are actually pretty tight now. So I believe that's really the kind of the reason why she feels comfortable telling him this massive amount of news. I mean, this is a big piece of news that she's really kept from the others. No one else knows about it, at least in his mind. And I think she tells him this not only because he's about to open that gate and really risk both of their lives and her unborn child's lives, but also because I think the reality of her pregnancy is catching up to her in that moment, and she's realizing it's not just about me and Glenn anymore. It's about this baby, and I have to do everything I can to protect this baby. So perhaps leaving the gates of Alexandria right now is not the best thing for us.
That's true. So they're gonna keep it a secret now?
Well, I think as time goes on, she'll reveal it potentially to other characters. Yeah. But for now, I think she's certainly keeping that news very much to herself, because it's a risky thing, of course, to have a baby in the apocalypse, as we see with Judith. I mean, Carl lost his mother in childbirth, and I mean, it's imagine all the things that we take for granted, like baby formula and diapers and everything else. I mean, that just goes out the window in the apocalypse. So it's a real challenge. It's a real struggle, and I think it's so beautiful that you have this incredibly hopeful moment between these two people that are kind of framed by death around them. Like, I love I don't know, I haven't seen the cut, of course, but the reverse shot they did of the two of us embracing after the news has come out, and we're just kind of framed in that gate full of death around us. There's just nothing but walkers reaching through, trying to grab us, and there's just this two people that are bonding over guilt and shame, and ultimately also optimism. They're seeing past their guilt and shame, and they're saying there is a real chance to grow from this, and there is a chance to make amends. Maybe not necessarily by fighting today, but by fighting in the future to protect the future of our community.
Yeah. He wants her to name it Aaron, huh?
Say again?
He wants her to name the baby Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad they kept that part in there. That was a fun part to shoot.
Yeah, that was awesome. Boy or girl, Aaron's a good name.
Yeah.
So
that's a fun one.
By the end of the episode, you guys are wiping the names off. Does that mean you guys believe that Nicholas and Glenn are still out there somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. I think truthfully they both have just kind of they're the type of people that they're the consummate optimists. I mean, they're very pragmatic, but they're also the type of people that say, well, listen, let's not rule out hope until there's legitimate proof that something or someone is dead or something is over. They want to believe that these two people are very much still out there, and they're not gonna just give up because the general theory is that they've passed.
Mm-hmm. Is it going to be a while until that mystery is resolved? Because I and everyone else is dying to know.
I think the fans can rest assured it's right around the corner. So it's not going to be. The showrunner and the writers are not planning on keeping the audience in suspense the entire season. So yeah.
Good, because I'm sitting here like, come on.
Yeah, it's intense, right? I mean, and then, you know, as a fan myself, I think, you know, Scott Gimple is telling the best story that he can, given the confines of 16 episodes. I mean, I think that we would all love to have a full hour, like you know, like they have on Premiere Cable, or just to really tell these stories. But you know, since we only have really only about 41, 42 minutes to tell these stories every week, and there's only 16 episodes, we really, there's an economy of language and there's an economy of plot that needs to be there for it to all make sense and to all work. And he's, I mean, he's the mad genius of the whole thing. He's kind of carefully sewing it all together, and I think fans will be happy with this entire season. Cool.
Yeah. And now my last question here: is the finale going to be bigger than the premiere?
I was just talking to Andy about this the other day, and I looked at him because I hadn't seen him since I read it, and I said, "What'd you think?" And we both literally just threw our hands up in the air, and we're like, "This is the craziest thing ever, right?" I mean, I think it's probably the most wrought, like emotionally wrought and dark episode I've ever read, regardless of this show or not. I've never read an episode that is so dark and so compelling in my life. I mean, and that's the God's honest truth. I told Andy, I mean, I don't normally get so affected by scripts that I have to put them down, but I had to stop reading this at 3 different times. I couldn't read it. I said, this is messing me up. That's a rare thing, and Andy said the exact same thing. It was tough to read. It was, I mean, not because it's phenomenal writing, but it's just so emotionally dark and twisted that we had to put it down several times.
Wow.
It's good, man. Like we start shooting next week, and I cannot wait to see this thing put together and fully resolved or fully realized, because like it is. I mean, like I literally put it up there with like Usual Suspects. Like I mean, like it's that good. I mean, it's so well done. You know?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Man, that's gonna be.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, now I just feel like it's our job to make the script come to life. I mean, like they've done such a great job writing this thing. Now it's just our job to kick ass and to make it really pop. But I mean, the script is so phenomenal that I think as long as everyone is doing their job to the best of their abilities, it's going to be one of the most talked about episodes ever.
Wow.
You know?
I can't wait, man. I can't freaking wait.
Dude, it's so, I mean, I'm not trying to like nerd out here. It's really good.
Hey, man, if you're going to nerd out, I'll tell you what, Comicbook.com is the place to do it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Irony Singleton, T-Dog, Madison Lintz, a.k.a. Sophia Mika, Melissa Ponzio, you know her as Karen from The Walking Dead, Jeff Kober, you know him as Joe, Adam Minarvich, you know him as Ed, Scott Wilson, Herschel Green, as you may know him, Gerald Prescott, you know her as Jackie from Season 1 of The Walking Dead. How has life been for old Tyler James Williams since parting ways with the cast and the crew of Walking Dead?
You know, it's been sad but good. You know, this is a cast that's like no other. You know, these are some of my closest friends.